One of the other big announcements that came out of Star Wars Celebration is the fact that they are going to do a Mandalorian movie, something John Favreau just like 2 or 3 months ago kind of made comments that he didn't think they would do a movie. Remember that? We talked about just a couple of months ago. Favreau's like, I don't really know if the movie's the way to go and blah, blah, blah. Well, here we are a couple of months later, Mandalorian. And not only is it a Mandalorian movie, but Kathleen Kennedy has announced that it is the movie that is going to wrap up everything in this era of shows. It's going to wrap up Ahsoka, Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett. Like she mentioned all those, that this is kind of wrapping up that storyline. So I don't know. I'm guessing maybe that all roads lead to Thrawn. I think that's ultimately what we're going to get in Mandalorian season 3. And, you know, if they ever get around to doing anything with Mandalorian season 3 and Ahsoka and stuff like that. And one of the most notable things about it, besides the fact that it's going to be a movie that wraps this whole thing up, is that Dave Filoni is going to direct it. This will, of course, be the first live action movie that Dave Filoni has ever directed. He did his first ever live action anything direction in Mandalorian season 1. And listen, I will say this. Personally, I feel the episodes that Filoni has directed have been amongst some of the weaker ones. But, and this is a big but, Dave Filoni, and I said this before when the first movie came out, when the first season came out, Dave Filoni has exhibited the type of attitude to me that sets you up for success. Because, and I said this before, I'll say it again. A lot of times you'll see directors or whatever get in and it's like my vision and this, that, and the other thing and all that kind of stuff, right? Dave Filoni had a completely different attitude. And I still remember, nothing has made me more impressed about an up-and-coming filmmaker than this. There was the kind of making of The Mandalorian special that was on Disney+. And when they were talking about the episode that Dave Filoni directed, who had never directed anything live action, nothing. Camera came on him behind the scenes, and he could have said what any other director, he could have tried to look like he was a know-it-all. He could have tried to sit there and go, oh yeah, like I'm really excited about bringing my vision to a live action thing. You know what Dave Filoni said? I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I thank God I got John Favreau here, blah, blah. Because when you start off and you have the attitude of, I need to learn, your potential is limitless. Your potential is absolutely limitless. And that's when I got excited about the potential of a Dave Filoni further on. Because if anybody had the right, and especially in the Star Wars universe, to come in with an attitude, it would have been Dave Filoni. Because he's got a lot of history with Skywalker, right? He's been there longer than John Favreau. He easily could have gone in there with that attitude. Instead, his attitude was, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. John Favreau, show me what I got to do, man. Show me how to take my understanding, knowledge, and vision of Star Wars and teach me how to make that manifested into a live action thing. When you got that attitude, sky's the limit. You can do anything. And so they took the right approach. Instead of just taking Dave Filoni and going, here, make a Star Wars movie when he's never done shit, they said, you know what? Let's start you off in a world you're comfortable with. Let's have you direct a couple of episodes live action. Then lets you take that same story and do a live action of that. This is the perfect path to success. Do I think Dave Filoni is going to kill it with a Mandalorian movie? I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in it yet, but I think Dave Filoni, whether it's going to be with the Mandalorian movie or whether it's going to be 5 years from now, I think Dave Filoni is going to end up being a really good director, like a really good live action director. Will he be able to do it with Mandalorian? What is interesting too about this news, not only is the fact that it came just a few months after John Favreau suggested that a Mandalorian movie isn't a great idea, is the fact that it came out as, hey, is it fair to say that right now the Mandalorian universe has never been less popular than it is right now?
And factually, yes.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Like, even if you're somebody who's loving the season right now, and there are things about the new season to love, but I think even if you are a huge fan of the series, I even think you would have to agree and acknowledge, yeah, it's never been less popular than it is right now. I mean, the viewership is down 25%. They've had like 2 of the lowest viewed episodes ever in the 3 seasons of the show have been this season. Book of Boba Fett was a horrible swing and a miss. So it's kind of interesting they're doing that now. This kind of announcement could build some buzz. It could build some buzz. So do I think this is going to be great? I don't know. I think it has the potential to be. Do I think Dave Filoni is the right guy to direct it? I'll say this. I don't think there could have been a more perfect first movie for him to direct than this one. Is it the right idea to end off these stories that have been television shows as a movie instead of a season? And then another question I have that I haven't heard anybody talk about, maybe it was announced and I just didn't catch it. What happened to season 4 of Mandalorian? Because John Favreau recently just said he'd already written all of season 4. Are they still going to do season 4 and then a movie? If that's the case, I mean, it took us almost 2 years to get season 3 of Mandalorian. Are we going to have to wait another year or two for the next season of Mandalorian and then another year or two after that for this Mandalorian movie? I mean, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. Anyway, Chris, I think there's a lot of interesting things wrapped up in this one thing right here and some big questions that are kind of brought up as a result of it. What do you think about the news of Dave Filoni directing a Mandalorian movie wrapping up all the stories of this whole big thing? When does this movie come out? What does it mean for Mando season 4? I mean, so much. What's standing out to you?
There's a lot here. I love Dave Filoni taking the helm on this. I think this is great for him. He is such a plethora of Star Wars knowledge. I defer from you, where I really love the Ahsoka character. I think she's great. Sure, Sky Guy is a terrible name, but come on, we can't judge a child for making a nickname.
Fuck that kid.
All right. My
I
brother
judge
called me
children
KK
all the
for like
time.
17 years. It's fine. Those aren't even my initials, but we still love him.
Glad he didn't
All
stutter.
right. I know, that would have been horrifying. We would have gotten canceled very quickly. But I think this is going to be such a fun romp, hopefully. The issue I have here is, are we going to be Avengers or are we going to be Justice League? You know what I mean? When we have everybody assemble, is it going to work really, really nicely, or is it going to feel like we have too many member berries or not enough screen time for certain storylines? Are things going to be rushed? That sort of thing. I do really like things coming to a finite conclusion, though, right? We've talked about this on the show before. American television in particular has a tendency to just go on and on until we absolutely run out of stories and we're jumping sharks. And I feel like these are stories, as we've seen with this season of Mandalorian, that do need to be wrapped up, and we can't just keep kind of mining them and going through them. I think they should come to a natural conclusion, so we still leave these stories wanting more but feeling satisfied and are happy with the story we get, right? I love The Office. But boy, there are some seasons in there where I go, why didn't it end?
Right.
Why didn't we end it here? And then they brought it together with the finale. So I'm really hoping that this movie really, really delivers on that, of giving everyone their just ending. And if we do get a 4th season, hopefully it's something really, really focused that leads to this movie, or maybe they're pivoting to only doing the film.
So the other question I would have that would come up in my head is, what ultimately does this mean for Ahsoka? Like, does this mean that there's not going to be an Ahsoka season 2? I mean, let me read this quote here from Kathleen Kennedy. And this kind of touches a little bit into another Star Wars story we're going to talk about here in a second. But let's bring up my screen for a moment here. All right. So James Mangold's movie, this is Kathleen Kennedy, will go back to the Dawn of the Jedi, and we'll talk about that in a minute. While Dave Filoni's will focus on the New Republic and close out the interconnected stories told in Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and other Disney Plus series. I assume she means Skeleton Crew. I'm not really sure. Maybe. Anyway, so is another question that gets brought up then is, what does that mean does this mean Ahsoka is a limited series? It's a one and done? Or, I mean, I don't know. Again, a whole lot of questions that brought up. Some really interesting things here. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? They're going to end off Mandalorian and this whole era of stories, I guess, with a feature film. Something John Favreau just a couple of months ago said probably wasn't going to happen. But what does it mean for season 4? Do you like the idea of doing the movie? And what do you think about James Mangold. What do you think about Dave Filoni directing it? Listen, I think if you're going to try to find the perfect movie to be Dave Filoni's initial live action movie directorial effort, this is it. This is the perfect one to do. What do you guys think about all this? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. If saving more and spending less is one of your top goals for 2023, why are you still paying insane amounts of money every month for your phone bill? Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save this year. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know I made the switch over to Mint Mobile a while ago. The process couldn't have been easier, and I can't believe that I am spending less than a third of what I was spending on one of the other major carriers before. By going online only and eliminating the traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily in minutes with eSIM. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea.